serve on the Gardner City Council. At best, his residency is in question. At worst, he's maintaining his Olathe home, which is not currently listed for sale, as his family's primary residence, and only inhabiting his Gardner home as part of the sales process. Neither of these options benefit the citizens of Gardner, in my opinion. Unfortunately, the decision to continue to serve rests solely on Larry's shoulders. Under both local and state statute, he is within his rights to do so. As others have pointed out, this doesn't make it right. My hope is that Larry comes to the realization that this distraction is not in the city's best interest, and he makes a decision that a majority of us would have made months before. Is there anybody else? Christine?
Yeah, I will. From my perspective, what Larry is, first of all, I will say this. I have had conversations, several, about this topic with Councilmember Fodovich. He's been very upfront with me. He hasn't tried to hide anything. He's been upfront as far as his intentions, as far as what his plan was. I think the first time I contacted him was in February. So from my perspective, I personally felt that if we had an issue with the way things were being handled, we should have changed the items when we had a chance, and we didn't. And we all, not that I would have necessarily been in favor of that change, but I do believe that we were all quite clear and in consensus that we wanted to leave in place the current stipulations which Councilmember Fodovich meets. From my personal perspective, if I moved, I would resign simply for multiple reasons. First of all, I wouldn't probably have time to do this, but again, it meets the criteria. The other thing that I will say is, regardless of, there are people, and I don't know if Councilmember Fodovich is hearing from these people, but I have actually heard from these people that there are people that think that this is perfectly fine, that he's perfectly within his right, and so I'm sure that there is some balanced feedback being provided. So.
Real quick, we've been joined on the dais by Councilmember Freeman, which actually, I wish you would have been here to give your statement, which I just read for you. There's a motion on the table to remove new business item number 2 from the agenda. There's a motion and a second. Ann Harrison. Your comment was read into the record. Tori has made her feelings known. Everybody's had a chance to speak. I'll go ahead and weigh in also, and Larry, if you would like to finish, that's fine as well. I've had multiple conversations with the council member. I think that, and what I have let him know is that if I was going to move, if I had bought a house in another city, if I was unsure of my intentions of what I wanted to do going forward, I would myself resign my position on the governing body. And I do hope that while it's legal, it's certainly a distraction. His conscience is going to have to be his guide, but I hope that the decision that he makes is also in the best interest of I hope that the decision that he makes is also in the best interest of the city of Gardner. So that's what I have to say. And Larry, if you'd like to say anything before we vote, now's your chance.
Well, I mean, it's really the same thing as I've been saying before. It's all a matter of perspective. If I leave, number one, I'm an elected council member, and right now we have 3 elected council members and 2 appointed. That would flip the scales back to 3 appointed and 2 elected. So from my perspective, I have a duty to the people who elected me, and to those who didn't, to continue to uphold the law. I went back and I watched Councilmember Roberts' swearing in And, you know, it talks about upholding the U.S. Constitution and the state constitution. And, can't remember the rest of it, performing in the manner of the council member. So I guess it's all, again, it's a matter of perspective. My perspective is that I'd be doing the city a disservice to those over the past 16 years who I've, you know, developed friendships with. I got family members who still live here. We're making great strides and progress. I really believe, I mean, that's obviously debatable amongst everyone else, but we're heading in the right direction, and you know, I don't do anything where I bail out or jump ship. I see it to its conclusion, and I see things mostly with the law in mind, and I'm a firm believer that that's all we do up here is mostly look at the laws and make judgment calls, and there's no more black and white issue, in my opinion, than it's legal. I still represent those people that elected me, and again, those that don't. And I don't need to bring people in to defend me, because everything I've done is legal. And I'll certainly resign when I'm no longer able to uphold the law, which would mean that the house is either rented or sold. But I'm just not a kind of person that cuts bait and runs. I long before many of you were attending meetings, you know, I was really an activist dating back to 2006, and I'm in it for the long haul. So, thank you.
I've got one last thing to say, and then I'll see it to a vote. I find it interesting that the council member out of one side of his mouth last meeting said, I trust the judgment unequivocally of the council to be able to make decisions regarding the electric utility board. At the same time, today, he says, I don't trust that the city council can appoint my replacement. We have made changes. Ordinance 26 says very clearly that the council now appoints, not the mayor, the council.
Governing body.
The governing body appoints. And so, I don't understand, I cannot reconcile those two in my head, and I'll just leave it.
Well, let me help you there. Number one, that ordinance doesn't take effect until another 61 days, I believe. So right now, the mayor would appoint, and even after that, what's the argument that appointees are better than elected officials? I don't think you could ever make that statement.
An appointee that lives in the city of Gardner is better than an elected official.
And that really is the problem I have with all of the comments that have been made here. Number one, they're untrue. Mr. Fodovich has relocated his family to a primary residence in Olathe, Kansas. I mean, there are lots of families that occupy 2 houses. I mean, and secondly, what difference does it make where my family's living? We occupy that house. I mean, my family did not take an oath of office. I'm the one that took that oath, right? So I don't even know why that's in the resolution. Mr. Fodovich has put his vacant residence. You've said yourself, you've had people look in my windows, and that there is...
I have not had people look in your windows. That's an untrue statement, Larry.
Oh, well, then it does hurt when it's untrue, doesn't it? You did say, however, that we have determined there is furniture in the house. Now, I worked for a movie company for 5 summers, and I know what moving looks like. And usually a truck pulls up, and a person's belongings move with it. And that is not the case.
Sir, if you really wish to...
It isn't vacant.
If you wish for me...
It's got
Larry,
my things in it, it's got my family's things in it, and it has my family in it from time to time. So that's not a true statement.
when I was building my house
As to whether he would
before,
vote in the
my
best
family
interest
was
of his
in
constituents.
And ask for order.
And if you want to continue this, Larry, we're actually going to be withdrawing this from the table. Now, if you want to continue this, I can move forward into a trial. If you would like to do that, I will push and pursue this. Would you like to do that?
We do have a motion on the floor from Shute and a second from Harrison to remove new business item number 2 from the table. There's no other comments or questions.